No, I think cancel culture is very toxic.
Extremely.
We're not canceling you, Seth. Don't worry.
You better not cancel me. I didn't say anything that bad.
Not today. Maybe tomorrow. Welcome back to another episode of what? Welcome back to another episode of Romancing the Monsters. I'm Em.
Hi, I'm S.
I'm Seth.
This week we are discussing Dark Skye by Kresley Cole. And I have to admit, I cheated a little bit. I went on Goodreads this morning and I may or may not have seen S's rating of this book. Which
don't look at it.
It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting because
oh no, I didn't see it, and I haven't updated my.
She rated it quite low, and Seth, I don't remember how you liked this book, but I don't think it was one of your faves. And then I quite liked the book, so it's gonna make for an interesting conversation. Because I feel we're like all over the place with how we feel about this book. So I feel like we should, just because I just said that, and I hate to make people wait. I feel like we should first say how we feel about the book, and then go into what the book is about. So.
Since you're the one.
Not to put you on the spot, but to put you on the spot, how did you feel about this book?
Oh god, this book. It was boring.
Really?
That's interesting.
I didn't connect with it. I thought, I was actually really excited because, I don't know, I feel like the build-up for Thronos and Melanthe's book, like, I don't know, I expected something, like, amazing, but, I didn't like it. I really didn't.
Would you say this is your least favorite in the series?
I think it's close to, like, Murdoch's book.
Uh-huh.
You know how I didn't fucking like Murdoch.
Untouchable.
So,
yeah. So it was kind of there. Oh, sorry, no. But I will say that I did like Melanthe, like her character. I really did like her.
You did. Interesting.
Marge is like, I didn't.
You liked her.
I really did like her.
She's like the one thing about the book I didn't like.
Yeah, Thronos was a different story for me, so.
What? Baby Thronos!
Yeah, I'm with you on that
love
one.
Thronos.
And it makes me sad because I was really excited to read about him and, you know, their story, and it didn't work out.
Oh my god. Well, I'm kind of the opposite. I mean, I didn't love the book, but I really enjoyed it personally. Like, I felt like there was a lot going on, which did sort of make the whole plot feel quite convoluted at times. Like, there was a lot going on, and, like, it was nonstop, in my opinion. Like, it starts off right in the middle of the action, and it keeps up till the end. Like, it never really lets up until the end. So for me, it was kind of the opposite. Sometimes I felt like too much was going on, and I was like, oh my god, again, something else and something else and something else. So, but it, you know, it kept me entertained. And I didn't really care for Melanthe as a character. I didn't hate her either, but she's kind of she did a lot of things that I was sort of struggling with, and it didn't help that I felt so protective of Thronos. Like, I mean, again, Thronos is not, like, by any means my favorite male character of the series, but because of what he went through and, like, his love for Melanthe, like, his undying love that literally nothing could make him stop from loving her, like, I loved that about him. Like, how he was kind of precious. Like, he's a little virgin boy who, you know, was raised in a very conservative environment, and, like, he, you know, had like, I don't know, like, he was cute, all right? Like, he was cute. He's not like, oh my god, so hot, you know, like, but he's cute, you know? Like, you need to change sometimes. He's like Sebastian level for me, you know, of cuteness.
Oh god, Sebastian.
Poor Sebastian, who we keep on forgetting all the time. What about you, Seth?
Okay, so I had rated it a 4-star the first time around. And I kind of don't know why I did that. Because the second time around, I was struggling. And like you said, I feel like too much was going on to the point where, like, I kind of disassociated myself with it. And, like, I kind of was left, like, unfeeling towards the story because I felt like, okay, something else is going to happen. Oh, look, something else happened. Oh, no, they're going to die. And I just didn't care at that point. I just felt like too many things were going on. And, like, by the point where I thought nothing, like, we were done, like, we've reached, like, you know, ultimate conflict, something else happened. And then I'm like, okay, great. Okay. Like, I just, and like you said, for me, it was the opposite with the characters. I kind of liked Melanthe more than I did Thronos. And the reason being was because of his personality. And, like, I don't know, I didn't feel his love for Melanthe, which is, like, you know, kind of the whole point of this book was for you to feel that he was very much, you know, still heartbroken and sad about what happened when they were children 500 years ago. I didn't feel that, obviously, probably closer to the end, I didn't feel that. And at that point, I kind of felt like, okay, I feel it now, but I didn't feel it during the book. Yeah, I just didn't like it as much as I did the first time.
Interesting. I don't know. Like, for me, I appreciate Cressley Cole's, like, she always tries to, you know, make her characters interesting by not making them completely good characters. Like, they've all done questionable things. They've all, you know, done things that you're like, wow, how are you ever gonna make me care for this character or make me want to see them happy after what they did, type of thing. So I appreciate that she always does that. And I want to make it clear that, like, what I didn't like about Melanthe was not the fact that she had a promiscuous past. I don't care about that. Like, that's not what made me dislike her. What I didn't like was what she did to Thronos. Like, literally compelled him to jump off a high building without using his wings, which broke them, which 500 years later, they're still broken, and she continues to hurt him that
was
way.
his own choice.
What do you mean?
He decided to go after her, further breaking his wings, not letting it heal. Secondly, she was just coming off of, like, the shock and the grief and, like, everything that's happening with her parents. Like, she was a little child. She was, like, 8 or 9. And, like, she just saw her parents beheaded in their bedroom. And the only person who would know where she lived would have been Thronos. So I think, I don't want to get into it yet, but, like, this book had one of my, the tropes that I detest to the nth degree, which is miscommunication. And I just felt like this book suffered so badly from it. Like, even up until the point, like, they even found each other after the prison and all of that. Like, it's still miscommunication. They just never really had a conversation. And even during the 500 years that passed, all it would have taken was just a sit down and being like, yeah, actually, I never sent my dad there. He kind of just figured that out. And, like, yeah, it was just pointless in my head. I do commend Cressley Cole, though, for doing a different story than what she's, like, usually doing. And, like, I don't know, I just felt like it was different from the other books in the sense where, like, they were friends at first and, like, things happen and, like, it's just different than the other books. And we also get to visit other worlds that we never really got to visit before, which I thought was really interesting. And we haven't even done the synopsis yet. We're 10 minutes in.
True. Okay, let's do that first.
Okay.
Go. What's this book about, Seth?
So this book starts off with a flashback of them as kids, and we get to see them at their purest and, like, at their sweetest to one another. She was 9 and he was, like, 13 or whatever, and, like, they just became best friends, and Thronos knew at that point that they were mates. Things happen. Her parents die by his father's hand. Sabine comes in and kills his father and, you know, tells everyone else to kill each other, thus starting the 500-year push and pull between Thronos and Melanthe. And we finally get to the prison that was organized by the Order, which is a human organization that wants to get rid of any creatures of the lore. Thronos took Lanthe, and they start this whole quest about, I don't even know how many days it took, but they start this quest, and he's rightfully angry at her with what happened in the past. He keeps telling her that she'd robbed him of his mate and any children that he could have had at that point, and he also has been 500 years, he hasn't had sex, ever. Not once. So this man's a virgin. And he also can't touch her or himself sexually because it's considered a sin in his religion and his people. So he hasn't even, jerked the meat or whatever. So, this poor guy. So still in the island of the Order, they get caught by Emberine and Portia because they want her to open a portal. They cut out her tongue so she can't persuade them, but she has the ability that no one knew about, which was the ability to talk in their heads. And she knocked them all out and opened a portal, and Thronos and her ended up in Pandemonia, which is like the land of the demons and like where they originate in a sense. And then Thronos finds himself able to read the language, even though he denies that his species, the Vrekeners, are demons. He thinks they're like some angelic warrior angel species. He does not think they're as lowly as demons, but like obviously we find out that they are demons. And they continue to travel to different planes. They go to fake Feveris, which is basically that's where I'm kind of confused. So like Feveris is basically a plane, like I think it's a demon plane or just like another world, or like you just constantly feel like the urge to have sex, and it's like you're kind of like in a haze, a lustful haze. My question is, was it actually fake Feveris, or was Feveris actually what it was, which is basically they were stuck in a beast's belly and like being fed on as they are in a dream state and they are having lustful, situations occur. And that's why
I thought that was
kind
of like a different portal that they went into, right?
Yeah, they went through another portal, but like,
that's what I thought.
Was that actually Feveris or was that fake Feveris?
I think it was fake. That.
Okay.
I think that's what Nick says. Like all along, they were just stuck in like a beast's belly or whatever. But they thought they were there because of whatever is inside that belly that was making them hallucinate. Or I don't know. But I don't think they were ever actually there.
Yeah. Okay. And then we end up. I don't know how you say his name. You guys listen to the audiobook, right? Is it Nereus? Nereus? The sea god.
Yeah, Nereus.
Okay. They end up in his palace. Mm-hmm. Things happen there where Thronos is tested with his matehood. He's drugged and is kind of given a whole harem of water equivalent of nymphs. And what are they called? And Nereids? I think that's what they're called. Yeah, so he ends up denying them and only wanting Lanthe. So they finally are granted access to leave, and they decide to go to Skye. During that time, they learn to accept each other and their bond. And then Morgana, who is kind of like the queen of sorcery. Am I saying it right this time?
It's a sorceri.
Sorceri. Again, I'm not saying it right.
Well, I can't spell anything in these books, so there you go.
Okay, Sorceri. Morgana is like literally the queen of them all because she's insane. And also she ends up taking away their fire sith, which basically like the Vrekener fire sith, because they end up hoarding powers of the Sorceri and they take them away. And so she ends up taking all the powers that were in his brothers, Aristus, because he's dead at this point. And we find out earlier on in the book that he kind of mutilates and tortures the Sorceri whether that be women or like men or whatever. He just detests all of them for like his father dying and things about that. It just twisted him into a very nasty person, and he ends up dying rightfully so. Morgana's ward ends up getting tortured and mutilated, there you go, by Aristus, and she is, horrified of the Vrekeners. And Morgana decides to punish Thronos by taking away his memories about Lanthe, and he knows of, like, like this pain that he feels. He doesn't know where it's coming from, and it's just, like, obviously for wanting Lanthe and not knowing who she is, or not knowing that he's already found his mate. And yeah, that's basically the book. And then we obviously Lanthe ends up finding him in Pandemonia, and then they decide to rebuild the colony of the Vrekeners in Pandemonia.
A lot happens. like a lot.
A lot happens in this book. Which, can we start off by talking about two major things that happened in this book?
Sure.
That are unrelated to our main characters. First of all, Nyx, goddess of accessions.
Yep.
Question mark. So essentially Nyx is like, well, she goes to see these like goddesses and essentially is like asking them for her to become one of them, but then they're not with it. So she's like, fine, I'll make myself a goddess then. Which go you, Nyx. So she's like, I'll be the goddess of accessions, and which perfect title, because she's literally been driving this accession by herself.
Exactly.
And the second thing, which I don't know about you guys, but I was like, oh my god,
Fury?
Oh my god, Fury.
Yeah.
We now know where Fury is.
I know.
I was like, okay, so someone on the good guys, quote unquote good guys side, knows where Fury is, right? It's Lanthe that sees her at the bottom of the sea.
Yeah, Lanthe sees her. Nerys has her.
So I was like, ooh, okay, so this is probably gonna come back at some point.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I expected Fury's like appearance to be different. Like,
why?
I don't know, I just felt like it kind of like they kind of threw that out there, like, oh, she's outside, she looks out the window and she's just there. I don't know, I expected like maybe a bigger reveal of...
Well, because I don't think that Cressley Cole is ready to bring her back yet.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of just like, we now know where she is, or someone knows where she is, and kind of just dropping a hint so that later on, and wherever it fits, whichever book it fits in, then she'll bring it back and make it probably a huge thing. Maybe it's Fury's own book where that happens. I don't know, but I don't know. I quite liked how she did it, because it didn't take away from what was going on with the main characters, which it shouldn't, because they don't know who Fury is. So like, why would they care?
No, I agree.
But it was done in a good way that, like, as the readers who, you've been reading all these books and Fury and like you remember her, but she hasn't been mentioned in quite a few books actually. So, maybe not. I think she was mentioned in Lothairs maybe because of Nyx. But you're kind of expecting her to pop up at some point, and I don't know, I liked how it was done, because I was like, oh my god, here she is. We know where she is.
Yeah, no, I liked seeing where she was, and like I found it very heartbreaking that she's just like being killed every minute basically by drowning, and she gets revived again, and then she drowns again, and it's just like, that's been going on for 50 years, and like that must have been like, imagine her mental state at that point. Like, I'm really curious to see when she finally does get out of there what she's like and how much she's changed, because we know her as like this fearsome Fury warrior, like half Valkyrie, half Fury, and like we know that she's some fierce like badass woman, but like obviously I don't think she's gonna be left unharmed mentally from what has happened, and I'm just curious to see if Nyx does anything with that information. Like, did Nyx know she was there? Probably, but then Lanthe confirmed with her that Fury is actually there. Would Nyx do anything with that information? Is she gonna go to the Valkyries and be like, oh, I know where Fury is, or will she wait until it's like the opportune moment for it to help her own cause of the accession? Will she tell everyone?
I don't know about you guys, but as the books go, I start questioning Nyx's motives. Like, you start questioning, what does she really want? What is she really doing? Like,
Mm-hmm.
are her motives justified?
Um,
what is she trying? Like, sometimes she does things, and I'm like, huh, I don't know how I feel about this, you know? Like, she definitely doesn't feel like she's definitely the type of person that's like, the ends justify the means.
oh
Like,
yeah.
if she has to put someone through hell in order to get
Yeah.
them somewhere where she wants them to be,
She
she
doesn't care
will
about
do
hurting
it.
anyone. She just cares about
Mhm.
the end and, ultimately what happens.
She's becoming more and more crazy, and I'm like, what she's doing, I feel like, is less and less concrete in some places. It's like, this is messy. I don't know. She makes me feel that way. I'm just unsure of her.
Yeah. But I feel like that's her character. She's also, like Lothair, she's the oldest of her species. And she very much, like, her right and wrong, her moral compass is kind of, I guess, tilted. Or it's like, I don't even know if she has one anymore. I think it's just, like you said, she's just going towards that end goal, and like Lothair, and she just is going towards the accession and knowing that she has to have all of these I guess alliances and unions happen before the accession, which is already in play at this point. And yeah, I just don't think she really values what's right and wrong like how, some people, I guess we do. Like, like humans usually, typically, supposedly have a more like a moral compass. And as an immortal of over 3,000 years, she doesn't.
I don't know. I mean, all the oldest ones are a little insane.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, you know? Like, I don't know about you guys. Maybe this is an interesting question. Would you actually want to be immortal? Like, would you want to? Do you think you could live that long and stay sane? Is the question.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't think so either. Like, one life is enough.
Like, the appeal of being an immortal, yes, that's there. Only if I get my vampire husband. But
Sure.
will I be sane is the question. That would probably be a no. I just feel like we see so many things happening in our world today, and it's like, imagine constantly living that and witnessing it, and like,
Yeah.
will you be the same as you were, say, like when you weren't immortal?
Yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of pain involved in, and this is going to sound really dark, but there's a lot of pain involved in being alive. You know,
No,
it's
I
very
agree.
lonely sometimes. So you think, like, even when you're surrounded by loved ones, you feel lonely sometimes. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, imagine hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of years like that. And like in the case of these immortals, like some of them have gone hundreds or thousands of years without their mate, just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
wreaking havoc on the world because they are in pain and whatever. Like, it's just, I don't know. I would want that. I don't know that the world would be a better place if we were immortal. In fact, I think it would be a much worse place if
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have that in the back of our mind of like, I only have one life, so I might as well be happy and try my best and like be
Yeah.
nice to people, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I
Anyways.
also think, in terms of like people that do wrong in this world, it won't really.
Mm.
It's being immortal will just give them free reign to continue being evil, and like would make them not fear death. And I feel like a lot of things are put in check. A lot of actions are put in check when the idea of dying comes into play. And if we are all immortal, then
Can you imagine that right now?
it would be
Everybody
crazy.
immortal? Like, yeah. It would not
I
be a
love how
good place.
this became a discussion of philosophy, as it always does.
I think it's just a depressing conversation.
Okay, back to
Um,
Nyx. We mentioned
yeah.
the goddess of accessions.
Yeah.
How did you feel about finally her putting into words? Because I feel like we've only ever heard it like in her thoughts or whatever, or like even if she says it in passing. That she's setting all of this up, like the unions, the alliances, and prepping to fight the bringers of doom, like the Morier or whatever they're called. How did you feel about actually finally feeling? I feel like she's actually fearful of them too.
I don't feel like she's afraid of them. I just feel like she's ready. She's ready for them. She's ready. I mean, she's putting everything, all of this together.
Okay, yeah, I guess she wants to get ready for them when they arrive.
I mean, I do think she kind of sees them as proper opponents, though.
Okay.
Whereas everyone else before wasn't really a proper opponent. Like, she knew how to play them so that they would fall on her side, type of thing. Whereas here, they literally come from another world. Like, I mean, spoiler
You're not
alert.
supposed to know yet.
I mean, I just finished the next
Okay,
book,
but S
so,
isn't
like,
supposed to know.
okay, well, that's not a spoiler. It's literally page 1.
Okay, fine.
They literally come from a different dimension. So I can understand her feeling a little bit like, okay, these are different people, you know, like everyone else. I mean, technically they all kind of come from a different dimension. They just have been living here for a while longer, but I don't know. I don't think she's afraid of them per se, but I do think she understands what they are capable of and the importance of actually bringing those to her side. Yeah. I also like freaking love that she cuz like there's a difference between the badass character who you know is sort of playing all the cards in the background, sort of like Aelin, if you will, but like
Of Throne of Glass.
yeah, and like how she's always like planning things behind the scenes, and like you never know what she's gonna do, but then turns out like she always has a plan and like it works, you know. I mean, that's debatable, but whatever. But she never actually really says like, hey, I'm the one doing this, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she's not actually acknowledging that, which is why I really appreciate that Nyx is doing it, because she's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, and like I'm doing it damn well, and like this should be acknowledged about me. Like I should be made a goddess of accessions because
Yes.
I'm the one working behind the scenes, you know what I mean? Like I actually like that she's doing it, and it's not easy, you know what I mean? Like in the past few books we have seen the toll that it's left on her of doing all this.
Yeah.
But at the same time she's like, but I should also, like, people should know me because of this, and I should, you know, I don't know, I like how she's not afraid to put a name on it. And
Yeah.
like,
No, I
don't
think
know.
Nyx is a very interesting character, and I can see why Krusty Cole always says that her story will be the last, because she ultimately is planning all of this, that at the end she does deserve her own slice of happiness. And like, I'm curious to see how that plays out. And I, like you said, she counts the Warrior, the Bringers of Doom, or whatever, as a value, like a, what is it? What was the word? Not a valuable opponent. I guess a valuable opponent. You know, someone that is actually gonna be a good opponent. Because like I'm pretty sure the bad side of the lore, the Pravis, think they are gonna be like the ultimate opponent. But it actually isn't even them. Like, you all are going to be fighting the Bringers of Doom. Like, it ain't going to be you. Which, yeah, I thought was interesting.
What do you think is her plan? Because, like, I'm like, is she only planning for this accession, or is her master plan to actually, for this to be the last accession? Like,
Ooh.
like, is she trying to reverse the whole game and put a stop to it, and that's why she's absolutely rootless about how she goes about it? Like, or is this really something that's gonna keep on coming back? I just feel like this is the last one. Like, that's what she's planning for. I don't know. How do you?
It can't really be the last one, because, like they said, it's a way to keep their numbers in check, so it can never be the last one.
This is a romance series. At the end of the world, like at the end of the day, like if this has to be the last one, or else people will continue dying.
No, I think it'll be the last one we see, and I think our couples will all survive. Sure. But I don't think it's the last one, because how else are they going to keep their population in check? There's no other way. I think her end goal, and I kind of don't want to spoil it, but not really. I already mentioned. So basically, people think her mate is Orion. But anyway, so people think that she has this mate out there. So I was thinking maybe she's just doing all of this to maybe get her mate in the same vicinity as her.
But does she know? Because she can't see her own future.
She can't see her own future. Never mind. Maybe she sees
so
his.
How would she know that he's her mate?
Maybe she sees his.
Lots to think about.
I don't know. Anyways, that's a discussion for next book.
But what do you think, Ash? Do you think this is the last one? Do you think she's planning for the end? Capital letters, or
no? I think I agree with Seth.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the last one in this series that we'll see, but I don't think it's gonna be the last.
Yeah,
I just feel like for a series to be epic, you just have to have this thing that keeps on coming back, which is a cool, thing. Like, it's a cool concept to have this, like, major, I guess, war that keeps on coming back. But, like, the whole point of a series, isn't it to put an end to it?
But not when it's all creatures, that are immortal. Because, okay, then how would you propose they keep their population in check?
You open a couple portals and you shoot them back to their dimension?
I guess. But then their dimensions are going to be overpopulated.
There's going to be a lot of evil, too.
There's literal dragons in some of these planes. So, like, release a couple dragons every,
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I don't care. That's the thing, too. It's like, I don't care about the rising population of immortals on Earth. Like, but I do care about this. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just this one accession, and maybe because she just called herself the goddess of accessions, she'll be like, I want this to keep on going because it's fun for me. But also, I also think she's really fucking tired. So
no, and that's partly why I think she needs to find someone to share her burden with. Which I hope, hopefully it happens with Cresty Cole. Come on, just give me a next book. That's all I want.
Since we're talking about different dimensions, other planes, worlds, etc., can we talk about this heaven world for a minute?
Oh,
and
Skye
Hall or whatever it's called. Can I just say that heaven is way overrated?
Yeah, I don't want to say I hate it, but I hated this version of of it.
Let me just put things into perspective. So this is a very conservative world. If you find your mate, so first of all, when you're little, I believe it's just boys, right, that have this bed made for them, and essentially it becomes like the marriage bed. And then on the claiming night, if you will, there's this thing called a claiming sheet. So there's literally a sheet between the two people so that they don't touch. And then
with his dick pointing out of a hole.
Yeah, a hole. And then on top of that, it says that mates are never naked in each other's presence because that's just not done. And on top of that, everyone is silent. You do not make a noise during sex.
So boring. See, it's so boring.
So boring. I would, if that was my mate, if my mate was a Vrekener, I'd have been like, no, kill me now.
I'm like, what the hell? Away. This is so boring of a world. What?
And not only that, it's okay, so I don't know if you were going to talk, probably you were. The women are supposed to wear, dresses that go past their ankles.
But the demoness were the same, though. That's not just... do you remember the demoness in the village where Sabine and Rydstrom were? Yeah. They were dressed very conservatively, too. So it's not just... But
also, they're not supposed to, basically have a personality.
Yeah, no, it's bland.
It's, I don't know what they're... what else... What were the I just maybe Melanthe or Thronos didn't go into it, but what's the purpose of the females in Skye Hall besides procreating? They didn't have jobs.
I don't know if it felt the same to you guys, but it felt a little bit like a cult. You know what I mean? This weird mentality and this group thing, because he talks about how yeah, sure, the sex thing is a little weird, but they have these reunions where they dance together or do things games, play games or whatever together. And I was just this is a little weird.
Yeah, I know. I felt that too.
Like-
And like when Lanthe asked about, wait, so like, do you guys drink? He's like,
Yeah.
no, we just play
Yeah.
games. I just like, I wanted to know the purpose of the females there. Like, I honestly think they're only there for procreation.
Well, you know what? It'd be interesting for one of them to get a story, if only to get a book with someone that is completely out of that world. You know what I mean? And like see that from the perspective of a female who was sort of sheltered her entire life and is now like being confronted with the rest of the world. Like, I feel like that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Actually. Yeah, I just wanted Lanthe to walk in there and just start changing the place, which unfortunately didn't happen. But I would have loved to see her sort of leave her sort of imprint on the place by changing things a little and like, you know, encouraging women to not dress so conservatively and encouraging.
Which, like, nothing.
I don't know.
Okay, I want to say this. Like, nothing's wrong
Yeah.
with dressing conservatively. If that's like
No,
your
absolutely
choice,
not.
that's fine. But I just like.
But this is not. It's not a choice.
No,
here.
this
It's
is like in a form of men controlling women, because I honestly think, as I said before, the women have no role in this world. They
But
literally
the men
are
are
just
dressed conservatively too. It's not just the women though.
no.
It's
But what
everyone.
I'm saying, I'm going back to the whole idea that like women aren't even allowed to be warriors. There was no other women in that meeting with Thronos and his army, like his men. Like there was no
Mhm.
women, and like no women actually even talked either. It literally was only the men that talked, like the Vrekener men. And like I'm just curious. I just want to know more about their world before I form like an opinion.
At least abstinence is expected of both men and women, and not
Yeah.
just women for once.
That's true.
Which, you know, I don't know. I liked their first time. Like, he was so nervous.
Yeah,
he-
it was sweet.
He was very nervous about it, and
Yeah.
and I loved it. I loved how, I don't know. I usually don't like virgin guys in books. It doesn't appeal to me at all. But I don't know. Thronos kind of. I was like, okay, I can be here for this. Plus, like, I mean, he didn't really act like a shy virgin most of the time.
What really
so-
made me die when they were in
Yeah.
Pandemonia and they were hiding, and then they had to see a demon and his woman have sex, and like Thronos
Yeah.
is like, this is an offendment, like this is a sin, I can't watch. And then like he like gets into it, and then this man's
Yeah.
watching, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
Thronos. I was dying. I thought that was so funny.
I feel like that whole scene was really
Yeah.
sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one point I wrote it down because I was like, he is what? He was, ladies and gents. Let me get my quote out.
Okay.
I mean, it's not really a quote, but I marked down that he was petting her clit with the tip of his talon.
Oh yeah, that was so kinky.
I was
I
like,
loved it.
what? I wrote down, mark me down as scared and horny. That sounds dangerous,
Yeah.
but also intriguing.
Yeah, because it's metal at this point, right? They always dip it in
Yeah.
metal, so it's
Yeah.
sharp too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I loved his wings. Can we talk
Oh.
about his wings? I loved his wings. It's
I
like,
love his wings too. They're very Illyrian-esque.
yeah, but better, I thought.
Yeah?
Like, I don't know what it was about them, because they are, like, quite sensitive, and they're full of veins, and, like, if you trace your finger down a vein, it's like, you know? And they have these talons, and I don't know, I liked the wings. I don't know
Okay.
why I liked them so much. Oh, was there like, feathers in some parts?
No,
Did
they
I
were
imagine that?
scales.
Oh, scales. That's
Yeah.
why. Okay, yeah. I liked that.
Yeah.
And I like when they use them to, like, wrap someone, you know,
Yeah.
in the cocoon of their
Yeah, I
wings.
loved that. See.
I'm such a whore for that. Such a whore for it.
And I will say, Cressley Cole delivered on the wing porn
Play.
fetish, you know, with the, like
Mhm.
you said, the touching and the,
Mhm.
you know, like he has his, you know, it makes him
Talons
more
doing
horny.
things. Mhm. But
that-
he also fights with the talons, which
Yeah.
I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before.
No, I agree. So what I was saying was Krusty Cole delivered on the wing sex scenes that I did not get with Cassian and Akosif. So I really appreciate that I got
I
fed.
would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, I like that they actually fight with them, because, you know, in other books where males have wings, Sarah J. Maas's books, essentially, the wings are mostly just there to, you know, fly.
Yeah. Like, that's their only
Like,
purpose. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. I don't know. It was cool to imagine, because, like, he was fighting with his body, and at the same time, his wings were like, toot, 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 toot.
I know, they're like,
doing things.
let's kill some, like, 20 ghouls.
Like, let's poke this guy's eye, you know?
Oh, I also loved, like, Krusty Cole did not shy away from the wing usage. When his wings, so, like, Melanthe decides to use her power of persuasion to help heal him, and, like, she'd have to do it quite often, obviously. But, like, once he was healed, one instance, he decides to put her on all fours and, you know, do things from behind, but he used his wings to, like, propel him back and forth, and, like, the visual, I was
Krusty Cole is so creative.
I was like,
she doesn't put something on someone's body without, you know, imagining all possibilities of usage. And I
will say
appreciate
she follows through, because
the wings were essentially like you know, 2 added legs in that scene. It was like, you know, to support him so that he could, you know, really
get in there,
jam it in.
Oh gosh,
we love to see it.
Yeah,
we love to see it.
Oh my gosh, and the horns, she even delivered on those, like, when she gosh,
the way she kept rubbing herself on his horns too for the gold dust.
Yeah, and, like, the way she, like, you know, started giving them a like a hand job at one point. I love how I had to do the action. I'm so sorry, guys.
Both of us were like, he's ramming it in there. Oh, it'd be way funnier if this podcast was actually filmed as well as recorded. Thank God it's not, though, because that'd be embarrassing.
No, I would honestly be embarrassed for my life.
Yeah. Which, I have a question about the horns, I guess, because one of the things that, like, you know, is throughout the book is the ties between the Vrekeners, who are essentially like angels, and the demons. And, like, you know, Melanthe kept on saying, like, oh, so you're not a demon? You're gonna tell me you're not a demon? Even though you have every other thing that a demon does. So I got a little confused, because I was like, is Thronos specifically descendant of a demon and he's not actually one of the Vrekeners, or were all Vrekeners descendants of demons that just decided to ignore that side of their history because, like, tainted and sinning and blah blah blah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it got me confused, because I was like, is it just him? Is it all Vrekeners? Is it, I don't know.
It kind of made it seem like it was just him.
Yeah.
I think Melanthe kind of had a theory about that, and that was just that he had ended up at, you know, Pandemonia, which is, like, the origin of demons, and maybe that awakened that demon side in him. But I think it's known at this point that the Vrekeners are descendants of demons, or they are demons. They are of a demon line. So I think when they end up in Pandemonia, I think maybe that their demon side could be awoken as well.
Well, that'd be kind of cool, though, because, you know, generally in literature, it's like, oh, demons are descendants of angels, like angels that have fallen. So, like, they're now this thing, you know what I mean? Whereas here it'd be the flip side, where it's like demons that became this godlike, I don't know, winged thing, even though they look exactly the same, I guess. You know, they're just the pure ones. So I like the sort of flip on that, if that's the case.
And I also think they wouldn't even be questioning their own species, because they're not sleeping with, many partners. They're not
Yeah, they're so
attempting like how the
isolated.
demons do. You know,
Yeah.
like they're not attempting to find their mate.
So how do they know?
I think they only
No.
sleep with their mate.
Yeah, but how do they know that it's their mate? Because that's the whole point of demons trying out. It's like they don't know.
No, that's
Until
just a
they know.
lie they use. Lanthe even
Oh.
mentions it. She's like they're attempting in quotation marks. Like it doesn't mean shit
Oh.
because like they know who their mate is. They just attempt to find their mate when they don't actually
I
need to do
love the
that.
demons.
They're just,
I just do.
they're horny.
Oh, the demons, in my opinion, are my favorite.
I love
They're
the
the
demons.
best of the
Yeah, I do.
series.
Oh my
They're
gosh,
so
talking
delicious.
of demons,
Yeah.
we didn't mention Kate and Holly. They have their
Kate.
twins.
Oh, that's
baby.
right. The twins. The twins.
And everyone's doting on them. Even Sabine, which I'm shocked. So I take back what I said about Sabine not actually being a good, like, she won't, like, murder her children. I think she won't. I think she would love them. And because she's so cute. And, like, in this book, she was honestly,
Yeah.
like, a mother hen. Like, this girl was like, make sure you take a jacket. And, like, make sure you do this and this and this. Make sure you call in to, like, Lanthe when she was leaving to go find Thronos. I was dying. I was like, is this the same Sabine that we knew in her book?
She's more
Yeah.
softer.
It's all
this
those
one.
spankings from Rydstrom that are slowly
Oh, I take it back.
transforming the woman.
We didn't get a spanking scene with them, did we?
With who?
Rydstrom and Sabine.
In their book, yeah.
Oh,
He's the only one who freaking delivered.
right.
Hello.
Okay. Yes.
I am side-eyeing all, 17 other males in the series.
Hey, Thronos did deliver too, though, in the sense where he saw the demon, with the wings and the propelling, and so he delivered on that.
Sure. He delivered in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't promise a spanking, so I'm not mad about
He
it. It's just
didn't.
there are a couple other males who, promised something and then didn't deliver, which shame on them. Oh yeah, speaking of sex, when are we not talking about sex in these books? Can I just say that one thing that, Cressley Cole did not deliver on that she did mention and promise is sex in the air, flying.
Oh, I know. She started it.
She mentioned it, and I was like, okay,
No,
give
it
it to
started.
me. And then it didn't happen.
It started, and then fade to black, or next chapter happened.
Right. I'm starting to think that Sarah J. Maas has definitely read these books.
Oh yeah, I
Because,
agree.
she has a full-on sex in the air scene in her books. So, I'm thinking
delivered.
she's like us. She read the scene and she was like, God damn it, Cressley Cole, why didn't you give me the whole thing, so I'll write it myself.
Yep. I think that's what happened too.
I'm just saying.
I have a question though, just something small. When they were like in their dream dimension, what was the thing where I guess they felt like a pinch or something like that?
Mhm.
What was that?
That was their skin being ripped from their bones.
Oh, that's what that was.
It was the acid of the person's
Yeah.
like
Oh, okay.
belly.
Of the beast's
The
belly.
beast,
yeah.
not person. I mean, it could
Okay.
be a person. Could be a giant.
So
I don't
that's
know.
why I really think that the plane that you were talking about, like where it's like a lust-filled environment, I don't think it was real because they thought it was, but then at the same time they were like, "What? Oh, that just hurt, but I'm not hurt, so
Like-
I don't understand what it was."
Yeah.
So like their bodies are being disintegrated by this acid, but they mentally are not present.
Yeah.
So
And I was thinking that maybe it is, but then how would they know about Fevris then? Because people wouldn't make it back necessarily to the mortal realm. Because like Throno said, there were thousands and thousands of people trapped in this thing's belly, and like they were trapped in this whatever dream world that they were in. So yeah, it wasn't Fevris. And it's so sad that all these people are just stuck there.
But speaking of dreams, I guess, there's this whole scene where, I guess Thronos is sort of stuck in like a loop, I guess, like an
Yeah.
imaginary loop where he's constantly reliving the same thing over and over again. And there's this quote, because like the first time, so essentially what happens is that there's this boulder, I think, that sort of falls and crushes Lengthy, and like he thinks she's dead, and that's what he's sort of reliving over and over again. And he says, tears blinded him when he realized the stone would be her grave marker. Thronos closed his eyes and took comfort in knowing that they would share it. I was like, oh, because like he was ready to die. He was like, she's dead, I'ma die too. This is our resting place. This is where we're gonna be together at last.
Well,
So
I mean,
sad.
like any mating bond, they can't live without their mate.
Sure. One funny scene for me was lengthy, because like they find this cave where there's like lots and lots of gold, and like the sorceri are like entranced by gold. Like this is their religion. Like literally they worship gold.
Yeah.
So she finds this cavern or whatever, and I actually don't remember if it's in that scene or later on, but anyway, she's talking about she's thinking about like her child, and she's like, I would literally send my child to a therapist if by the age of 12 they hadn't yet stolen gold.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought that was funny, like, because I was like, this is why the sorcerer are just so fun. It's just like they like stealing gold. It's what they do.
And I love how unapologetic they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Unapologetic.
Yeah.
I just love it.
It's kind of like the witches just unapologetically stealing people's money. Doing very little tricks and asking very large sums of money.
Yeah, instead of doing it out of the goodness of their heart. And I'll never forget that scene in Malcolm and Carol's book when he's like, yeah, I'll take you guys there, like, it's fine. And then, like, Carol pulls him aside and she's like, you gotta ask for money. This is not how we roll.
No, that's not how we do it.
We don't do that. Yeah.
I love it. The witches are so ruthless.
All right, so we get into the monster.
Yeah, so what do you girls think the monster of the story is? Or did you think there was more than one?
My first one is for Thronos. There's several instances in the books where Melanthe feels that he is judging her for her past, her sexual past.
He is.
The way that he
is.
But
Yeah.
however, I do think it runs deeper than that. I don't actually think, and I think he says so at some point himself, like, it's not actually the sexual past that bothers him. And I think the monster for him is his insecurity. I think he deep down feels very insecure. And that's part of why he's so nervous when they have their first time together, because he's like, she has all this experience and I have none. And I'm not going to live up to it. You know what I mean? And he's very insecure about that. So I do think, sure, you could say that it's just, as dry as saying, oh, he just hates that she has this experience because he's envious? Like, he wishes he could have had that? No, he doesn't. He doesn't wish he'd had that experience himself. He liked to keep himself for his mate, Yeah. So I really think it's interesting to see this insecurity from a male. And how, I don't know, and it does stem from the fact that he comes from such a conservative place where you don't talk about this sort of thing, and so yeah, you would feel a little insecure compared to your partner who has had that experience.
No, I do remember what you were talking about, like what he said. He said that it wasn't because of, her having all of these past lovers, it was because she had a life without him, or she had moved on and had a life that he was like upset about. And I think that is mainly the start, or the reason why he is very much judgmental, or like lashes out at Melanthe for her past.
And he got to witness it too, right?
He did, and that's the whole thing. He says, so after the whole wing thing, he literally forgives her on the spot. Like, she just threw him off a building, and he's like, I forgave you right away. And he goes after her to explain himself, and he finds her with this vampire, having sex with the vampire. He still says, I forgave her again. And he's like, and it happened again and again and again. And he constantly kept forgiving her. So I don't think that it's actually related to her doing the act with other men. It's really about her never really giving him a chance to explain himself, or giving him a chance, period. Because she kept running away. She never did truly give him a chance to explain himself.
Okay, I'll give Thronos some points for that. Just the way you explained it, cause
yeah, I give him some points, but I also like I understand like mentally when he does find her, he's in a dark spot, but like it doesn't excuse a lot of his comments that he said towards her, and it's like
no,
you can't blame Melanthe either, because like I mean you could like obviously yeah she deserves some blame, but I mean. She honestly thought he was the reason why her parents are dead. He is the reason why her sister keeps dying. She honestly believes that, like, yes, like, they're mates and all, but Sabine keeps dying. Her one family member left, the one person she loves. So, of course, she's gonna, like, move on and, like, sleep with other men and, like, do other things in her life. Like, Thronos is so far from her mind as, like, someone that's good because, like, as I said, miscommunication, like it's such a big thing for them, and it's like it literally drove this war between them for 500 years. And like that's what I thought the monster was for them, was just like the lack of ability to communicate and have a conversation, because they got so hateful, they got so brutal to one another because they just wouldn't fucking talk. And I guess that could be Lanthe's fault or that could be Thronos' fault, but I think at the end of the day, it's both of their faults.
Another thing that's sort of related to, and this is not strictly just Thronos and Melanthe, it's kind of all the couples, but it's related to matehood. And is matehood even a word? I don't know. I'm making it one if it's not. But the whole concept of, now that I've found you, you should think the same way that I do, because you're my mate. And so what I believe in, you should believe in too. And I think they were both wrong in how they dealt with that. Like, Melanthe sort of couldn't really believe, or couldn't really get behind how he was thinking sometimes, and he couldn't really get behind how she was thinking, because they both just assumed that they were right, and that the other should agree to what they believed in, if that makes sense. I have a quote. It's Thronos that says, "He wasn't her mate. She told him she had lived her life without me, as if he'd never existed for her. Maybe that was what angered him the most, how easily she'd forgotten him when his every waking moments was filled with thoughts of her." And this is where I'm like, Thronos, you can't blame her for that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, this is what I'm talking about, where it's like, oh, I'm thinking about you all day, every day. How come you're not? You know what I mean? Like, this is where, and again, like, this is not just them. It's like literally every couple before and after, probably. Where it's just, I don't know. It's like your whole life is supposed to come to a standstill for this one person, and like, now you're one type of thing. You know, you're not individuals anymore. It's a weird thing. I don't know, it's an uncomfortable thing, kind of. So yeah, that's probably another monster that I noticed.
The expectations of matehood.
So if you guys were in this world, would you like the idea of having a mate? Or do you think that would kind of scare you because of how intense it is?
I mean, I like the idea of, like, there's this one person in this world that you ultimately are meant to be with. Like, the fates have decreed that is the one person. I like that idea, but, like, the idea of losing one's identity is kind of scary to me. Not that I have, like, amazing, like, great personality, but...
Shush.
But, like, just the idea of, like, the possibility of losing that, is scary.
And I think the characters themselves are scared of it. At least some of them. So I think that makes sense. Like, being scared of not being fully your own person. Because that's what it is. Like, it's not just simple love. It's like, no. This is like, we're fusing into one. Like, this is, we have one heartbeat. We have one life and one eternity together. Like, it's another level, which is fucking scary.
Yeah.
But it is kind of comforting, I guess you could say, to think that there is this one person out there for you that's like perfect for you no matter what. And it's weird because when I think of some characters in this series, I'm like, yeah, I would want it. But then if I think of other characters, like other couples and their dynamics together, I'm like, no, I wouldn't want it. You know what I mean? Like it I don't know.
What about you, S?
I like you. I like the idea of having a mate, but I think it's scary how intense a love can get.
Yeah.
And like from personal experience, like I feel like I've there was a point in my life where I've experienced that intense thing, and I think it was more where I felt it, and like I felt like I lost myself a little bit, and like that was like all my focus. I don't know, that's scary. It's scary to think that maybe in the future, if I find love again, like I don't want that, basically, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. So I guess in that world, I think it would be kind of scary.
Yeah, and that's understandable.
Because it definitely flirts with obsession with some of these characters. Like
flirts with? I think a lot I is obsession.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, sure.
Like, Thronos stalked Melanthe for 500 years. Let's be real.
Yeah, okay, sure. I mean, I was going to say Lothair certainly flirts with obsession as well. I mean, I think he's literally on the other side of that line.
He's dependent on Elizabeth to keep him sane. Like, Elizabeth does not have any breathing room. I'm pretty sure she can't even be left alone at this point.
But that also should not be a responsibility for anyone.
No,
like, listen,
I
out
agree.
there, people, it is not your responsibility to keep someone sane, okay?
Yeah.
Like, they should get help.
And that is also Naomi, too. She is literally... Conrad goes crazy, and we've witnessed what happens to him.
Yeah.
Like...
And that falls back on her.
Crazy.
She has to be there at all times, or else the poor guy is just lost.
Yeah, he's
like,
back to
this
square
is a
one.
lot. Yeah.
See, like that kind of love right there, that's what's scary.
Yeah.
That
as much as I
example of
love
it.
Lothair and Conrad, you girls both know I love them so much. But if I were in the shoes of Elizabeth and Naomi, I don't know. I don't know if I have that strength to be someone's sanity.
Yeah, I think this is why I loved Rydstrom and Sabine so much, because I think they're literally the only couple of the series that acknowledged how bad they were together.
Yeah.
Like, that they brought out the worst out of each other. And I commend them for it, because they're like, yeah, no, we need to change this. This is not working out. And they did. And, like, I love how neither of them was trying to change the other. They kind of just found a middle ground. But, like, Sabine is very much still Sabine, and Rydstrom is just Rydstrom. Like, I don't know. I loved how they were the only ones that actually acknowledged, like, yeah, no, this is messed up.
Yes, I agree.
So.
And I will say, Bowen and Mariketta, at the beginning, yes, he was very toxic in the sense where he didn't want her to practice her magic. He didn't want her to be a witch. But by the end
oh
of
my
it...
God, I forgot that. So bad.
Yeah, and she literally had to practice it while he was sleeping. Anyways, but they've overcome that, and, like, now he's become, like, a supporter of her. He's literally standing by her. And, you know, he's with her as she does her magic. And I think that's an instance where, you know, their matehood ended up being something, you know, good. But he was pretty bad. Bitch-ass Bowen.
Leave bitch-ass Bowen alone.
Do you have any ideas for Lethe specifically?
I just thought miscommunication was for both of them. What about you, S?
I think miscommunication as well.
For me, like, I had another one for Thronos. I'm sorry. I don't know. Like, maybe it's not really a monster. I think it could be something, like you said, for both of them. It's, like, being very close-minded. And I think what I'm not talking about, like, his constant judgment on, like, her past exploits or whatever. I'm more talking about, like, how he, like, when she got to Skye, like, he wanted to change her way of life, which is basically her clothing and taking away her sorcery. Like, yeah, he decided that wasn't what he wanted to do ultimately in the end. But also, like, I don't know, just, like, the overall way he expected her to behave as well. Like, to be, like, docile and, just not be a sorceri is where, like, what I'm getting at. And I don't know, like, the only reason, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. The only reason he changed his mind, or, like, was quick to change his mind, was, like, him experiencing her death numerous times. And I don't know if his change in mindset would have occurred as quickly, or if at all, had he not witnessed her death as many times as he did in Pandemonia. Like, do you think it would have?
No. I think that needed to happen in order for him to kind of like react and be like, I need to change the way I think and act. And
Yeah, because I feel like they were constantly at odds up until that point.
I don't know, because, like, that was the first time that he was actually confronted with her being in true danger, and it changed his mind right away.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't want to be that person, but, like, it ain't true for the flip side, you know what I mean? She witnessed him going through hell multiple times, and she was still hot and cold towards him.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that I was so annoyed with throughout the book, because I was like, throughout the book, I wanted to like her. I was like, please, like, I'm here for it. Like, you're the sister to Queen Sabine. Like, I want to like you. But her hot and cold attitude towards him, which was unending, like, no matter what he did, it just wasn't enough. It wasn't right. It wasn't what she wanted. It wasn't no. But again, goes back to the miscommunication thing. She never communicated with him what he was doing wrong, or why she didn't like something, or why she thought differently, or anything. So I was like, Melanthe, how do you expect the man to understand shit? You know what I mean? Like, when you're not telling him shit in return.
All right. So this goes, the whole miscommunication thing again. She decides to communicate that your psycho-ass brother killed Sabine and stabbed me in the hand. Watch. Showed her hand. And this man still didn't believe his brother was capable of this badness. Or at least that people in his, tribe or clan or whatever the Vrekeners decide to call themselves, a colony, whatever. He didn't believe that people would go against his order, or like would go against, their rule of killing someone's mate. Like, he only believed it till later on. So, like, when she finally decided to communicate why she was so hot and cold, as you say, or like as so like hateful towards him, he kind of didn't believe her until later on. Or like, he does in his head, but he doesn't communicate with her that, oh wait, maybe I kind of am starting to believe that maybe people are against her and want to kill her. He didn't tell her. He said he thought it. He didn't tell her.
Okay, but let's say we all thought that this looked a little cult-like.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, okay, and the fact that he was raised his entire life probably in a community that is A, very closed off to the rest of the world, and B, probably thinks of itself that it's like the godly, realm on earth type of thing. So he was probably told things about his people that he believed to be true. In fact, he didn't know why his family was there that night. He didn't know what they were doing until he was there and he saw what happened to the parents, whatever. He wasn't aware of things. And so I'm just saying that from that perspective, I can kind of see how it would be hard for someone to, suddenly, just like that, be asked to change their opinion on the people that they've lived with their entire lives. It's not for no reason that, like, someone is murdered and then they go see the neighbors and they're like, oh, but he was such a nice man. I never could have thought him capable of doing that. Like, he, took care of my garbage can or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are like that. It's like, you can't imagine them, even though you're told this guy murdered a bunch of people. Did you know? And you're like, oh my God, I never could have thought. So I'm just saying that, like, I can kind of see how it's hard to divorce yourself from the idea of someone that you had. And this is his brother. So it's like one step further because it's like family. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not just your next door neighbor who you talk to once a week. So should he have told her that, like, yeah, I'm sort of starting to see it your way? Maybe. But I don't fault him for not doing it right away when presented with facts, because it is difficult.
Yeah, presented with facts and actually believing them, yeah, those are two different things. But I do think he should have started telling her that he was seeing things differently. And if he didn't see Lanthe as his mate, he also was killing sorcery women as well. Like, it wasn't something that he wasn't doing. Like, that's his mission in life, is to kill their enemy, and hoard their powers. Or in this case, rehabilitate, in quotation marks, sorcery women and take away their magic and like put them up with all the other women. And the first instance they have, they ran away, because that's not the life they ever wanted, and like that's just not their way of life. So yeah, I could see like him being told many things to deter him from thinking differently. Um, but ultimately, he should have told her once he started suspecting that maybe things aren't as black and white as he said.
You know, a good character, because I would say that, like, deep down, he's not a villain. I don't think
No,
that
he's
anyone
not.
sees him as a villain.
No.
So, deep down, he is a good person. And I think that the world thinks he's a good person because
They don't.
oh my God, that's the thing. His choker thingy, when he was stuck in that prison, it came off. And it was only the evil ones that it came off, right?
Yeah, because he had said that it was because his mind was filled with evil and dark thoughts. So maybe La Dorada thought that he was a bad, like on the bad side.
Yeah. Well, anyway, all this to say that deep down he's a good person, acting in a world that, you know, his people are doing questionable things, for sure. But why is, like, I feel like we're sometimes harsher on people like him who just aren't aware of things fully, compared to like how we are towards villains who are doing things, evil things, knowingly, and we're like, oh, but like a baby, you know what I mean? Whereas I don't know, like I feel like there's like a double standard here where it's like, oh, but he's a good person just not knowing full, like all you know what, he doesn't know what's going on, whereas the other one knows what's going on and he's doing evil, and we're like, oh, but he redemption story.
Okay, so this is how I see it, and I'm probably gonna get canceled. But how I see it is,
I'm ready for this cancel party.
hey, cancel SAF 2021. Okay, so how I see it is that as a villain, like for example, let's say Loki, from Marvel. For example, he's a villain, but he has like a story that like makes you understand him. But he doesn't pretend to be anything else. He is a villain through and through. Like he doesn't like have any sort of like facade. Like he is a villain. Thronos, on the other hand, he's willfully ignorant. And like you can argue that it was his upbringing or whatever, but I guess he never had that drive to learn another way.
But can you fault someone for their ignorance when they were so isolated from the truth?
I mean, I don't know. Like, Thronos, for example, had like a mate that wasn't of his species. So I guess he had the responsibility or like the ability to learn about other things and like learn about life in another way that he didn't take up until he further communicated with Lanthe and also like understood her species, and also later on talked to Rydstrom. Like he never really took those steps to further educate himself when he had the ability to do so.
But he did eventually.
Eventually, yeah. He did.
Well, that's all that matters, really, isn't it? Like,
yeah. No.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I am a villain fucker. I'm not gonna like sit here and be like, oh, fuck them villains.
No,
I
and
mean, fuck them villains.
I think what I'm getting at was I kind of wish it happened before, but then at this point there would not be a conflict in this book, I don't think. So I'm happy it finally did, and he did educate himself and want to learn more and want to be a better person. But like that's like not the case for a lot of people that are stuck in cults like this, you know?
Yeah, I just wanted to raise the fact that there is a difference in how we perceive those who believe they're doing good but are actually doing bad, and those who know that they're doing bad and continue to do bad because that's what they've chosen for themselves. Like,
Yeah.
there is sort of, we're harsher, I think, on the former than the
No,
latter.
and I
which-
agree. I totally agree with like the people that have, like as you said, the people that are doing bad but don't really know that they're doing bad, and like once they try to fix their ways and like re-educate and learn about different ways, they're automatically, as you know, as you say, canceled, and they're not given
Yeah.
that chance to learn and change their mindset and alter the way they see things, like at all. And I think that is a
Yeah.
problem in our society today.
That's kind of the whole thing. It's like, so when they do decide to change their ways, oftentimes doors are closed in their
Yeah.
face. It's like, too late, you know? Whereas I feel like villains that change their ways, we're all welcoming towards them. We're like, yes, you've chosen the right side. And maybe it's because, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe this is a discussion for another day. But yeah, anyway.
No, I agree.
It's an interesting parallel between the two.
No, I think cancel culture is very toxic.
Extremely.
We're not canceling you, Seth. Don't worry.
Don't, you better not cancel me. I
Not
didn't say anything
today.
that
We're
bad.
Not
No.
today. Maybe tomorrow.
All right, should we just get to ranking? This episode ended up being longer than I thought it would be. You can go first, Em. You haven't gone first in a while.
Okay, do we start with men or women?
Women or men? What do you guys want? Whatever you want.
Let's start with women. Okay. So, I have a lot of ties.
Oh my gosh. Okay, go.
Okay, so in 10th place, I have Naomi. Then in 9, there is a tie between Emma and Melanthe.
Oh.
In 8th place, Daniela and Caro. 7th is Lucia. 6th is Katerin and Chloe. 5th is Mariquetta. 4th is Holly. 3rd is Mist. 2nd is Reagan and Ellie. And then 1st is Sabine.
Oh,
obviously.
surprise.
That's like, will that ever change?
No.
I'm kind of starting to think that that's not going to change.
I don't think it will either.
Wait, your first is Sabine?
Yeah. Of course. How's that even a question?
Wasn't she lower last time?
No, she's lower in your list.
Queen Sabine has always been my number
Or
one.
was it Rhinestrom that went lower? It
Oh,
was
Rydstrom
I think.
did, yeah. But I love my baby Rydstrom. I'm just sandwiching myself between, like, my top 3. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just...
Aren't we all? Speaking of babies, do you think Rydstrom and Sabine would have a child anytime soon?
Oh.
Because I feel like I kind of forgot that their whole plot started on Sabine needing to have
Wanting
his
to
child.
impregnate herself.
Yeah.
Fucking
So
love
that doesn't
book.
we don't see that in the series yet?
I guess maybe they aborted the plan. They were like, we need to fix this relationship first.
Probably. Okay, I'll go. So in 12th spot we have Naomi, and then 11th Emma, 10th Danny, 9th Melanthe, 8th Lucia, 7 goes to Caro, and 6th spot goes to Holly and Chloe. 5th goes to Mist, 4th is Katerin's spot, 3rd is Sabine and Mariquetta, 2nd is Reagan, and number 1 is Elizabeth.
So, Melanthe is actually quite low on your list, too.
Yeah, I mean, like, I like her, I don't love her, but she's just like a meh
She's just
character.
there.
Yeah, she's just
Yeah.
there. Like, I like her better than, you know, obviously Danny, Emma, and Naomi, which is why, like, you know, she's there.
Yeah, it's kind of how I rate them too. It's like, it's not that I hate them, besides like Naomi, which left a really bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And I didn't like her. But besides that, like the lower spots, it's not because I don't like them. It's mostly just they didn't really leave an impression on me. It's
Exactly.
kind of just like they didn't have anything that I connected with.
Exactly.
particularly.
That is, yeah, that's what I agree with.
Okay, S. What is your
Okay.
ranking?
So 13 Naomi, 12 Daniela, 11th Chloe, 10th Mist, right? Yeah, 10th Mist, 9th Katerin, 7th Melanthe,
Okay.
6 Sabine, 5 Carol, 4 Emma and Elizabeth, 3 Reagan and Lucia, second place, Holly, and then first place, Mariquetta.
So Mariquetta's been your number one for a while.
I don't think she's moved ever since her book.
I like
I think she
Mariquetta.
stayed.
I'm surprised Chloe is so low. I don't actually remember how you felt about that book.
She's low, but I don't know. I kind of don't remember. She wasn't, I guess, memorable, so she's
All
very
right,
at the bottom.
let's do the men, ladies and gents. This is where the war starts. I don't think there's going to be a war this episode, though.
No, I don't think so either.
Okay, so in 11th spot, I have Lachlan, obviously. Then I have Murdoch in 10. 9 is Malcolm. 8 is a tie between Sebastian and Thronos. So like I said, the Virgin Boys unite. In 7th, I have Conrad and McCreeve. Again, the troubled ones unite. Like, why am I so on brand? I don't know. Like, it's like I pair up the ones that are similar. In 6th place is Bowen. 5th is Gareth. 4th is Cade. 3rd is Nikolai. 2nd is a tie between Rydstrom and Lothair. And then in 1st, I have Declan, which I don't know. I'm like, my honestly, my top 3 is kind of like
Interchangeable.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's something about Declan Chase that just,
I don't know.
like,
Those
damn
gloves. It was the gloves for me, I think.
Well, we never got to see a scene, sadly.
I know. I don't know. There's something about Declan that, like, I don't know. It intrigued me.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right, my turn. 12th spot goes to... S is like, I'm not even here for it. I don't even want to know. All right, 12th spot goes to Lachlan. He's always been 12.
Shocker.
I know, right? 11th goes to Thronos. 10th,
Wow.
Murdoch. 9th, Sebastian. 8th, Nikolai. 7th, Gareth and McReeve. 6th spot goes to Cade. 5th goes to Malcolm. 4th is Rydstrom's spot. 3rd spot is Bowen. 2nd is a tie between Conrad and Declan Chase. And then number 1 is Lothair.
What about you, S?
So 12th place is McGreeve and Thronos. 11th is Murdoch. 10th is Conrad. 9th is Sebastian. 8th is Lothair. 7th is Malcolm and Nikolai. 6th is Declan. 5 is Rydstrom. 4th is Lachlan. 3 is Garrett. Second place, Kadon, and then first place, Bowen. I switched Kadon and Garrett because we got to see Kadon in this book. So he went up a little bit.
Hold on. Was Lothair always at the 8th spot? That's very low. Why is Lothair so low?
Let's go back.
She's hateful towards vampires.
But, like, Lothair.
I know.
Oh, I had him in 5th place. I'm gonna have him right now.
And this
8th.
bitch put him in 8th?
I know.
Yeah, you know why? I remembered why I bumped him down because I remembered that he didn't stop when Elizabeth told him to stop. So he went down a little bit.
Girl, I do not understand how you can say that and bump someone down on the list when you have bitch-ass Bowen over there and Lachlan.
Leave him alone. Leave them alone.
Like, he literally molested Emma.
And he tried to get her drunk off his dick.
Exactly. How is that not canceled
And bitch-ass
behavior?
Bowen literally said another woman's name while he was coming inside another woman. And somehow Lothair is lower than that.
I know. He never pretended to be anything else but himself. I'm sorry. And I do love Bowen. I just think Lothair should be somewhere on that list too. Like, I'm sorry.
Not on my list. Nope.
You bitch.
I'll let you have Lothair up in your top, not in mine.
You know what? I will have Lothair.
That's fine.
You keep your Lachlan.
My God, there's a war.
He stayed. I don't know why we're fighting. He stayed.
I'm just gonna log out. I'll be the referee on the side. Seth, you go. I feel like I was more sympathetic towards Bowen, bitch ass Bowen, until Gareth came along, and I was like, this is what the Laike should be like, and I was like, bitches, Bowen, you take a seat. Garrett just showed us how it's done. He showed us how it's supposed to be.
I understand, what you're saying, but for me, that made him not really memorable, which is why he's number 7. Like, Bowen, for some reason, I love him, and I stand by him being in your top 3S. That's one thing we can agree on. But yeah, Gareth kind of wasn't memorable to me, which is why he's like 7.
It's difficult, I feel like, to rate the characters separately from how they are with their love interest.
Because you don't really see them without their love interest.
Exactly. So it's like, do I like this person because of how they are towards this other person, or do I like them just how they are? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of how we rate them is based off how they are with their love interest.
Not Lothair. I loved him from the first moment. He graced my pages.
I mean, because he was a wreck.
I know!
With Elizabeth, so you kind of don't have a choice.
Like, he was just like...
You kind of just have to ignore all the things that he had, put her through, like the prison for 2 years and...
I'm talking... She was in prison for 5 years, actually.
Oh my god.
No, but I'm talking more or less about, in A Hunger Like No Other. He was just there laughing, just watching things, and then, like, in Rise and Sabine's book, he was still planning, but still, like, expected things to happen, and, like, that happened and all of that. And then, in Declan and Reagan's book, this man was a crazy guy, but, like, he was planning towards something with asking for salt. You're like, why the heck does this man need salt? And it's just, like, he's so, unapologetic, I'm using that word again, about, like, his actions, and, like, he really doesn't give a shit. He just does what he wants to do to
But
further
guys, what does it say about us that the memorable ones are the ones that did messed up crazy ass shit to their love interest, and then the ones that were, like, kind of boring? It's like the good guys.
I know.
If you have a different male in mind for best male of the series, please let us know. You can find us on social media. On Instagram, we are at the Romancing the Monsters podcast. On Twitter, it's the RTM Pod, and we also have a TikTok, which is Romancing the Monsters Pod, so go and follow us on there. You can also email us if you want to at romancingthemonsterspodcast@gmail.com, and you can find me on both Twitter and Instagram at Foes and Lovers. Why do I always want to say yours?
I don't know.
Jeez, I am not you.
It's not even that great of a user.
And you can find me as on Instagram and Twitter at ButThisBook.
And you can find me I don't know why I have the giggles. Okay, and you can find me, Seth, on both Instagram and Twitter at Pros with Woes. And also, if you liked this episode or any episodes in the past, you can feel free to leave a review on any of our platforms. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you just want to message us and just let us know what you think of the podcasts, the episodes, just please do. We're everywhere. Send us an email. That'd be great too.
And yeah, so thanks for listening, and we hope we'll see you next week.
Bye.